I think I mentioned last episode or whatever. I talk with the kids a lot about nutrition stuff now,
Yeah.
and you've heard me do it a few times. So I give the kids shit if they're not, starting to think more about what they're eating. So,
Yeah.
and that I'm not like crazy about it or anything, but just like constantly reminding them. You said like throw them out at the wall. Hopefully something
Yep.
sticks, like that kind of thing. So,
Yep.
the one of the big things I noticed with a lot of these kids, when I ask them like, "What'd you eat today? How's your eating today? Whatever," and I
Yep.
make them tell me what their meals
Yep.
were, and
Some answers are hilarious.
some answers are hilarious
French
because
fries and
oh yeah, grilled cheese. It's
grilled
like
cheese.
yeah, and it's like so I'm thinking about it, and the reason I wanted to bring it up is because a lot of people that listen to this are parents.
Yeah.
And most of the kids that I'm talking to when they're 14 or 15 or even 16, even older, a lot of kids even older, like they're not making their own food. They don't have control over what they're eating.
Yeah.
So here I am, trying to tell them, hey, like you should be prioritizing protein at every meal and giving them some information on what they should be eating. But they go home and they don't make dinner. They don't go grocery shopping. They don't do
limiting factors, right?
right. So they don't have a lot of control a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to leave this with parents, and this is going to start to branch into the topic a little bit today. Is it's very important that you also start to take some of this stuff serious, and it's not just because they're an athlete. It's just better as a human being if you're eating well most of the time.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, by default, because I had the Italian family, we always had like the 4-course dinner.
Yeah.
Which was so there was always protein.
Did you guys ever have pasta?
Not just pasta.
No, I know.
So
in your courses, your Italians,
yeah,
you had
we always
pasta
had
every time?
pasta. Yeah, we always had pasta every time, right?
I know.
So it was like, yeah, but a lot of kids will have pasta, and it's like just pasta. It's like, what's for dinner tonight? Pasta.
Yeah.
So for me, there was always meat, there was always veggie, there was always some kind of carb, whether potatoes, pasta, whatever.
Oh.
So for parents, and it can be tough if you don't know, and it can also be more expensive too. So I'm not trying to be insensitive to that, but when you're making dinner, I'm starting to talk to the kids about making sure that the meals are balanced, and balanced meaning you have each of the macronutrients, protein, carb, fat, at the table. So with the kids, I give them more specific information, but generally I say make sure you prioritize protein at every meal. That is huge, man. That is so important.
Yeah.
When they're trying to grow and get bigger and stronger and faster, whatever, you have to have enough protein. It's so important. So one takeaway I want to leave with the parents is to start to make sure they're getting protein at every meal. So if they, like some of them tell me they don't even eat breakfast, and it's like, okay, I'm not hungry in the morning. Okay, you'll be hungry if you start eating in the morning. So do it and make sure that they have some protein when they're eating. Even if they're having a bowl of cereal, put protein powder in the milk. Make it like a protein shake. That's the milk that's on the cereal. Like make sure that they're prioritizing that at every meal, or try to help them along. That's one very easy thing that you can do as a mom and dad. If you're the one that's making their lunch, like make sure they have a protein source in with their food, because then they start to get used to eating that way. And then in the absence of that, they're going to notice that it's not there.
Yeah.
So it was just one thing I wanted to give for parents to help kind of push along the track for kids that are trying to develop away from the rink, and something they don't have a lot of control over because you're mom and dad. You're the one making their food. If you can just do that, like you can ignore all the other nutrition information I've said.
Yeah.
If you can do one thing for them, is make sure they have protein at every meal.
Yeah.
Because when the kids come in here and I ask them, what did you eat today?
Yeah.
A lot of times it's blank. They're missing at the meals, and they didn't make their food. They're not the ones that made what they're eating.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give that as just a piece of advice for parents. One thing you can do that really will make an impact is start to make sure that they have protein, something that contains protein at every meal to a good degree.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah. And as far as that goes, can I just pipe in for just a couple? I think, so when we're dealing with, again, you can make more excuses than a pregnant nun. I get that. It could be finances, it could be time, it could be all these different things, but there are strategies to do it. Like for example, in our house, we do, I have a freaking huge tray. And we like to do this. We chop up pounds of meat. Like let's say it's chicken or fish, whatever, pounds.
Yeah.
And is that expensive at first? Yeah. And then we do pounds of vegetables and chop, put some seasoning on it, throw in the oven. And then I just put them into containers for the week for me. I'm done. I don't eat crazy when I do that. I eat really good. I'm never full. I'm never hungry, and I feel great. Right. And I'm getting quality food. You can do that with your kids. Real simple. Now they just have to go in the morning, grab their 2 or 3 buckets for the day. It's so simple. Now, here's where some people say, well, I don't have time. It's actually less time than you're going to have all week. I don't like leftovers. Well, shut up, kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you don't like leftovers. I don't like cooking for you every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So eat this shit.
Right.
You're going to be healthy, right? But maybe that's the trade-off is not, they don't want to eat that all the time, but it's a way to do it. We just got an air fryer for the first time. My wife started using it the other day, and another strategy, real quick, just put some spice or whatever on it. It's real good. And then if money's an issue, one of the things that you just start firing in your budget is eggs and beans, right? Lots of eggs because it's good quality protein. You get some fat in it. Fairly inexpensive. Can get up
really
in the morning.
Expensive, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a really good alternative where you can, crack, boil, whatever. I do that several times in the morning when I'm so, like I talked to you about yesterday. You're giving me shit about not sleeping enough.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, it's really hard when it's like Christmas Day every day. I love getting up and getting going, so I get anxious, like excited to get up and get going. So to the point where I just want to get out of the house and come here. But some days, if I don't have my meals or I need something extra, actually very often I'll just crack 4 eggs in a pan. I don't even make an omelet, just 4 eggs. Sometimes it is an omelet, but 4 eggs. Takes me 2 to 3 minutes, put it in a container, I'm gone. It's zero time whatsoever to eat healthy, right? Because the alternative is coming here or being a kid or being an adult. You go somewhere and you start to get hungry. That's where things fall apart.
Yeah.
So that's just a couple strategies, eggs, and then you can my wife makes, like I could do it too, but she just happens to do this for me. Very nice of her. She's concerned about my health, which I love. And she'll make me like a chickpea salad with lots of veggies cut up and a nice balsamic and olive oil or balsamic oil or what's it called? Balsamic
vinegar
and avocado oil or something like that. And it's light, it's good, healthy food, great, cheap.
Yeah.
Cheap.
Yeah.
So,
and that the preparing in advance thing is huge because it's like you want to make the good choice, the easy choice. So a lot of times the kids they're telling you I just grabbed a granola bar or I just grabbed the fruit snack thing or I just grabbed this or I just grabbed that. Well, if you have a container that you can just grab, that's the easy thing now, right? So that's one really good point. The other thing too is if you don't like to cook or you don't know how to cook, because some people it's intimidating if you're not somebody who cooks a lot. Like number one, freaking learn how to cook, man. Like it's not like it's that crazy. But if you can't or don't want to or don't have time, whatever, you can still go buy like the processed versions of protein if you need to. Like that's better than not having it.
Or you can go to the grocery store and get one of those rotisserie chickens, right?
And, exactly.
You get some really good things.
So there's options that are available that are cheap enough. You don't have to cook. You don't have to spend 3 hours in the kitchen. You don't even have to spend 1 hour in the kitchen. Like even if you go buy chicken fingers and they eat chicken fingers at dinner, it's better to that than no protein.
Yep.
So it's like just make sure that there's something there. That's one really like low hanging thing you can do to help the kids out, and you can start to teach them about that because oftentimes when they're hungry, they just want to grab something. I'm just going to grab a muffin because it's already right there. Yeah. It's like, well, if you already have a container of chicken and they can grab a piece of chicken, they will do that because now it's ready already. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And you can start to teach them to value eating well, you know, and you'll start to teach yourself to value eating well if you're somebody who doesn't do that, or as a family you've never thought of that or whatever. Because I say that to the kids a lot. I'm going to explain this information to you guys. Then you're going to go home to your house where if your parents don't know it or don't care about it or whatever, now you're fighting against the system of not caring about the thing you care about. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So it's very important that you start to get on the same page about that kind of stuff. So it's just a couple, those are great tips about stuff you can do. Cost effective too.
And then again, back to what we've said so many times, I think when people choose to make excuses, the other thing is it's not all about this is the best meal I've ever had and it's maximum mouth pleasure and or I'm not eating it. It's not that. You'll get used, not that it's bad. I love eating healthy, but you get used to it, and actually the junk or the stuff that isn't good for you actually starts to taste bad. Like one thing that we did, and I actually enjoy this more because I do like to eat pasta, like not all the time, but every now and then I like to have take the spaghetti, roll it on a fork. It's the texture, mouthfeel. It's just so good, right? Yeah. But we were doing taking zucchinis and just shredding them. Yeah. And you just put it in the hot water for a couple seconds. The sauce on it, the spaghetti sauce on top of it will be heated up enough too. Yep. I'm being honest with you. I'd rather have zucchini, like shredded zucchini, like that looks like spaghetti, over pasta. And I'm being honest.
Well, that's a good point too.
Being honest.
I've said that to my mom sometimes too. One thing I really like is crunch.
Yeah.
It's not having a chip; it's the crunch.
Crunch, yeah.
You know, so if I can get like a rice cake, will do it for me, for example, because it crunches. It's the texture in the mouth that is what feels good. So for you, it's like if you like the experience of twisting the noodles and how it feels in your mouth when there's noodles, like that kind of thing, that's a huge component of eating. So if you can make a upgraded choice, I've talked about that before too. It's like you don't need to eat the bag of Miss Vicky's. Maybe you can get whatever, but or you can get like those veggie straw things. If you just want the crunch, it still tastes good. Still tastes good. But if you just want a crunch, that's not the same as having you want to have chips necessarily, right? So if you can be specific about what you want in your brain as well, then you can make some better choices.
But it's so funny, the default mode of where people go, and I'm not like, it's just around me. This is what you hear, right? Well, I'm not going to change my whole life. You know, because it goes to negative, right? Like, I'm not going to make that kind of change. It's like, well, okay, but like take the spaghetti versus the zucchini, shredded zucchini. It's like, well, I'm not going to go nuts about eating. It's like, well, you're not going nuts.
Yeah,
you're just making a change, or try it. Like, you don't have to go to default negative mode all the time.
Yeah,
I just know for a fact, because I eat a lot and I work out a lot and I move whatever. I feel so much better when I go consistent, good, healthy eating, not eating like a slob. It just feels better. So I just kind of just want to feel better more than not. Yeah. So you make a few choices, and those choices aren't going to be like you're giving up the whole, your whole life. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I know it can be hard for parents too, because you're really set when you're an adult. You're set in your ways a lot, so it's harder to make changes as an adult, which is fine. But it's not really about you now. It's like you're trying to help set your kids up and be a good example. Hopefully you're trying to do that.
Yeah.
And this is just it's a very easy thing. So back to my original point was just protein at every meal. Easy thing you can do, whether it's one of the examples you gave, you can buy things cheap, sources, even if it's a cheap source, it doesn't have to be a grass-fed, grass-finished, whatever crap. You don't have to do any of that.
We're being goofs.
Just get some protein in the diet, man. Like start with that. Like that's make sure they have protein in every meal. Make sure you have protein in every meal, honestly. But if you're not going to, at least make sure that they do. And that'll go a huge, like such a long way in the gym when they're training through the summer in terms of their growth and all that kind of stuff. It's really helpful.
Yeah, 100%.